everyone, welcome to JIB CIB English Media, and this is your first shift analysis of your December 24 ABFM examination. So, if you are joining right now, do share with your fellow bankers who are going to give their second and third shift. And if you are the person and candidate who actually gave your paper in your first shift, then do share your questions and your experience and your marks. Chaliye. So, I and Niharika ma'am will be continuing this session. So, let's start with the first shift questions. As you can see, they asked from this black scholars model in which they asked about the valuation. So remember, it is valued as per your warrant. Okay. Then they asked the question from pastel in which they asked the full form of this pastel. So P means political, E means environmental, S social, T technological, E economy, and E L legal. This is the full form of pastel. And then they asked the question from your module B about dividend discount model. Okay, so they basically asked from the zero growth model, and these are the figures they asked in this. So you can use this formula, that is d1 r minus g, but as your g is 0, you can directly use the e1 divided by r. Then they asked the question from hybrid security, and next they asked the question from section 47, in which if preference shares are not paid for next 2 years, then they will be going to get what voting rights. Okay. Then they ask the question from prescriptive analytics. These are the different types of we can say business analytics. Then after this, they asked few questions from MBO, that is management by objective, vision, Spark. They asked the full form of Spark also. Then RADR, then strategy, that not a strategy type. So that answer would be their social. Then advantages of short-term forecast they asked. So if you know,
Actually, everyone, I think I would like to add here something. When we talk
sure.
about SPAC is something which has been coming from the last 2 years. They had been putting questions from SPAC a lot. So that's one particular they have covered again. Dividend discount model, as I told you yesterday only, it was very important. And I think regarding the specific question of if the preference shares are not paid for continuously 2 years, then they also get the voting rights. They also become a part of the board at that point of time. Whatever resolutions are going on, they have to be included in it. That particular part we did in yesterday only. Another part, H model, is something which we covered in the specific area of yesterday's Chalisa even. I had covered the H model there along with this, and then we talk about DTL. This is your this is related to what, ma'am? Leverage?
Yes, ma'am. So they asked the combined leverage, I think.
That is combined leverage, or the degree of combined leverage, or we can say the degree of total leverage. It is also called total leverage there.
Yes.
This is one particular that we have done many times. I told you earlier only leverage would be covered in the practical point of view. And it was expected that this time the numericals would come in this way. If you would have watched the specific questions that we have discussed, I have discussed most of the questions without any options. Okay, there's a question on RADR as well. Risk adjusted discount rate was given. Let me discuss that part as well. In terms of RADR, everyone, risk adjusted discount rate means the discount is where one part is your risk free rate of return. So whatever risk free rate of return is given. Ma'am, could you please write the formula there?
Yes.
Whenever we are trying to find your RADR, it is 1 plus R. On the lower side in the superscript area, you write 1 plus RA. No, ma'am. 1 plus RA is written on your left hand side extreme.
This side?
Yeah. First of all, ma'am, write 1 plus R. A is on the lower side of R. Basically, whenever we are writing, नहीं, R के बिल्कुल नीचे, ma'am. R के नीचे बिल्कुल छोटा सा.
Like this was saying?
Basically.
Okay.
We are writing in the superscript form, na? So it is RADR, risk adjusted discount rate. How do we get it? Is equal to, just write the living part, is equal to, first of all, write 1 plus the rate that we are taking, whatever we are taking. If we are taking our home currency, you can write H there. And if we are taking RH, just like we write cost of equity, na, KE, in the same way.
RH, no?
It is RH. R is bigger and H is smaller. Or it can be your home currency, it can be your foreign currency. So it can be the foreign currency or your home currency, 1 plus R multiplied by, we are having 1 plus the risk premium. Okay? Let me tell you the formula, ma'am. Is it possible that I can also share my uh,
Then they ask the question from angel fund also.
angel fund is also a very important area.
Yes.
Module
Initial
D.
class also we completed this. So we have the limitations and eligibility for individuals, body corporate, and for other entities also. Okay. And they ask the question from
Okay. If it is visible, ma'am, just a moment, for the moment, just share this specific screen if it's possible. This is the formula for RADR. That is, risk adjusted discount rate is equal to 1 plus RH, whatever your currency is. If it's your home currency or home currency, foreign currency or foreign currency. Basically, this is the risk free rate. Okay? If they would be providing the risk free rate multiplied by the risk premium, whatever risk exists, we have to multiply with that part. And this is how you get 1 plus RADR. This is a part in national capital budgeting. Then systematic risk was asked in the examination. Systematic risk is basically the risk which exists for everyone. So when we talk about systematic risk, it's the risk which is existing for everybody. If we talk about inflation, inflation is for everyone. Beta leverage in terms of the CAPM model is related to your systematic risk only.
yes, then they ask the question from H model also, ma'am. From module B only.
H model is again very important. I think if you go to the Chalisa, in Chalisa, I have discussed the H model there. Along with this, if you are a part of my revision batches, I'd given you the formula in detail. PEG is something which I told you in the last class. It was very, very important. PEG ratio in terms of this area. Acha, in the Chalisa, even if anybody would be watching Chalisa right now, go to the specific area of watching the PEG part. In terms of PEG, it is price, earning, and growth. In terms of this ratio, if you're talking about PE, you take growth below. If you're talking about PB, it is your return on equity. And when we talk about PS multiple, we have NPM, net present, net profit margin. So that part has to be taken. This is something that I've discussed in almost by the end of my Chalisa part, or even if you're part of the summary there, I've discussed this part there and I've told you that this is very, very important. I have also given you the trick to learn it. Actually, everyone, and a very important area further is covered. The international valuation standards are also covered. 105. That is regarding the corporate valuation. IVS 105. 103 is for business combinations, and this is for the valuation. 103, it can also be asked. It is something which is not asked as such, but these are something they have given in the book. That these two are international valuation standards which exist.
Then we ask the question from classical school of management, in which they are focusing that machine and even their employees are considered as slave. Okay, machines are considered as asset and their employees are also considered as just a slave. So this is what given in your traditional school classical of management. And because of their drawbacks, we have neoclassical, okay, in which we talk about X and Y theory, in which we have Maslow's law theory.
All the motivation part is
Yes,
existing in the neoclassical
motivations
area.
plus hygiene theory. So basically, they ask the question from classical one. So there are the chances that in their next shift they can ask from this neoclassical. And I think already told you about they asked from the this leverage also.
Leverage as well.
Yes.
And there was a question on payback period as well. Everyone, the formula for payback period in case you are having uniform money back. So that is your initial investment divided by your cash flows. For example, if I buy something for 10 lakh rupees and my initial investment is 10 lakh. So what happens is if my initial investment is 10 lakh rupees and every year I'm getting 10,000 back. Sorry, let's say 1 lakh rupees back. So 10 lakh divided by 1 lakh. In one particular year, whatever I recover, that is divided, and then you find out the total number of years it will take. Payback period is basically a primitive method. It's one of the traditional methods which is used in the capital investment. And there was a specific question on
And they asked the question from this ma'am also, in which they asked about the spot rate.
spot rate is again very important. This is again a part of international capital budgeting. They've given a lot of questions from this specific area altogether.
They asked from spot rate from first year end.
So then everything has to be calculated from the first year end. That is very easy. This in this case, what you need to do is whatever your spot rate is, S0 is the spot rate today, and always keep your country above. One of the best ways to learn is सबसे ऊंचा हिंदू से था हमारा. That means you keep your country above, and then you keep the other country below. That your RH is your area, and then RF is basically, ma'am, in the below area it is RF, the risk, the return of the foreign currency. Okay? So you keep your country above and the other country below. Not only SPAC has been asked, I think someone was asking about DSPAC as well.
Okay, so when
IRR question was also asked, ma'am.
angel fund, so basically for individuals we have different limit. In this they ask about the net tangible assets that must be at least 2 crores. Okay. Along with that, they require 10 years of experience, or they have already invested in some other kinds of startup. So basically, this are the few limitations or eligibility for individuals. Then for body corporates, we have that at least 10 years, sorry, 10 crores. 10 crores they require for the investment, and other than any other entity apart from individuals and body corporates, what you required the venture capital fund registrations, or you required the registration under the CB. So these are the few limitations we have under angel fund, and along with that, as an angel investor fund, there are also limitations on them that they can accept maximum for 3 years only. So this is their lock-in period, and at least from per investor, they can receive only minimum 25 lakhs.
I think, ma'am, can you please write the formula for CAPM model as well? We never know that particular part can be asked in the examination there, na? Since they have asked about systematic risk. CAPM model is basically capital asset pricing model. The formula for CAPM is risk free rate of return plus beta RM minus RF, where RM minus RF is also called the risk premium. In the question, they can give you that RM minus RF would be given as risk premium. This is the risk premium. You have to multiply it by beta. Beta is basically your levered beta here, and it is basically the systematic risk which it covers. It talks about the sensitivity of the organization towards the market.
I think if candidates were watching our mini marathon module A, B, C, D, then easily
They were good enough.
yes.
Most of the questions are taken from that particular area only. Matlab, we have covered all those specific portions properly. In terms of peg ratio and all, I've covered this particular part in Chalisa in very detail. Here in the summary module, I've talked about this. If possible, ma'am, can I share the specific PPT right now so that I can tell about the quick portion of how to learn that part?
Yes, sure, ma'am, sure, ma'am.
Chaliye. Now everyone look at this specific portion there. If this is visible, just let me know. Now is this visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So when we talk about the peg ratio, it is price. Your prices are market price, earnings, and growth. When you're trying to learn the peg ratio, everyone under peg ratio, you take the PE ratio divided by growth of the organization. PB ratio. PB is basically this is market price to earning per share, market price to book value. When we talk about book value, it is return on equity. And when we have the PS multiple, price to sales multiple, at that point of time you'll be taking your net profit margin. These would be divided in terms of peg ratio. These are the three things that you have to consider, and one of the most important part is always the price earning ratio. Okay, this is quite important. Chaliye, moving back to the specific area further.
Yes. So, one case study was from types of preference shares. So, we have so many different types like cumulative, non cumulative, correct? Then we have participating one, non participating, redeemable,
Convertible, non-convertible.
non-redeemable, yes, convertible, non convertible. So, these are the types of preference shares, and they are the case study. So, please revise if you are going for next shift.
There was a specific question on stages of startup as well, ma'am.
Okay.
There are
So, we
different
have
stages
different.
of startup. Now it starts with seed financing. You have an idea, then you get the money, and ultimately it ends with the specific area of buying the bigger organizations,
Yes.
MBO and LBO.
So, from this idea only, we get the word that is bootstrapping. Okay, when we are using our own fund. So they ask the question, I think, from this point only about the bootstrapping.
Leverage is basically when you take money from others, and bootstrapping is when you use your own money.
Sorry.
Okay, I think total leverage is something which we have covered already. Everyone in the H model always remember if H would be given, it is basically something where we would say H is equal to whatever your time tenure is. You take that time tenure and divide it by 2. If it is 10 years, 20 years, whatever time is given, divided by 2. Because they believe in the H model, the growth is basically divided into the specific area which is gradually growing up, and then linear growth is there. So that means in this case, they take it in an average form. Okay? That is why they divided by 2.
And remember one very important point that if they ask about the angel fund, okay, so in this, when we say individuals, there this net tangible asset must be at least 2 crores. Means in that we are going to include 2 crores also. Okay, not about 2 crores. Remember that. Then you can talk about like SPAC in this. There is no operating feature in this. So basically, what they are doing, they want capital, so they can do this IPO or they can raise through the merger. Okay, SSR, congratulations. And what about other candidates? If you cleared this session, please share your marks and your result and your especially experience also.
Everybody, please keep on sharing your marks, because this is one of the basic areas where we come to know whether the hard work that we had put in, it was worth it or not. Ipshita ma'am, how was the examination for you? What were your marks? Everybody who's joining in, first of all, please share the session and like the session as well.
Well, I think we discussed all the questions, no?
Most of the questions that has been covered, we have already covered that specific area altogether. If there's any doubt that anybody would like to ask, then we would definitely be there. Till then, what we can do is, ma'am, let's discuss each and every topic so that everybody who's going for the examination, they come to know ki how to do that part. Can you go back to the first question, first part there?
So, surely you can leave now for your second shift. All the best.
Okay, Ipshita ma'am, that's really good to know. Aarti ma'am, can you please go back to the first page where we started with the particular area? Let's
Yes,
discuss quickly whatever has been asked in the examination.
yes.
As Aarti ma'am has already told you about the Black-Scholes model, it's related to the warrants. Warrants is basically what? Warrants is basically you are given the particular right to receive the shares later on. You are given that particular authority. कि ठीक है, you can do that. Pestle is something ma'am already has discussed in terms of dividend discount model when we talk about it. Dividend discount model talks about the dividend that you'll receive in the next year divided by your R minus G. In case R is not given, this is your WACC, weighted average cost of capital. Okay? So when we talk about the dividend discount model, this is the money that the equity shareholder is going to receive. In this particular area, they can either ask dividend discount model. Since in one particular shift they have gone with zero growth model, they can also give you the question in the aban in the next shift regarding the price of the share. P0 can definitely be there. Okay? So please make sure you are doing that specific part properly. Hybrid security is something ma'am has already discussed with you. Hybrid is basically what? The part which is equity and debt. Between the two extreme ends, we have the part of hybrid security. In this particular area, they have asked about the preference shares and its types. This particular topic is there in both module D as well as module B. So then we have the specific area of preference shares. Preference shares, in case you do not pay dividend to them for continuously 2 years, then they have the voting rights. Okay? And then there's a part of environmental analysis. This is a part of module D overall. And I think a part of it is also there in the module A as well.
And remember,
Ma'am,
yes, ma'am.
go ahead, ma'am.
So they asked the question from steps of environmental analysis. Okay, what steps we have, like identification, scanning. Then apart from this, we have analysis and your forecasting. So only these four steps are there under your steps of environmental analysis. And this topic we covered in your Maha revision. Okay? So please try to revise your yesterday's session along with your Maha revision that we conducted on Friday. Both these sessions are very important. So basically, they're asking from those area only.
Ma'am, there was a question on leadership styles as well.
Okay. So
Green shoe was also asked. Nee, people were asking about what is green shoe.
leadership styles.
Yes,
So we
ma'am.
have different types of leadership style. You can watch this also in yesterday's session. We covered this leadership style. Please revise once you are leaving for your exam.
Everyone, when you're talking about the peg ratio, now please make sure you're going through the peg all together. You're not leaving a part of it at all. Ma'am, can you please go to the second page there? I think in the second page, what did we, is there anything that we can explain further? In terms of that, we are done with the spot rate. MBO is, ma'am, go ahead and please explain the part
Yes.
of MBO
This
there,
is your
MBO vision.
management by objective, in which they are your organizations and employees are coming together, and by evaluating the environment, they are deciding the future goals and objectives. So that is what MBO in this. Okay, so they can ask about these steps. Like first, you are setting the organizational goal, then you are setting the employee goal, then you are evaluating them, then you are analyzing, and finally you are giving them performance appraisal. So these are the steps of your MBO. Then they ask the question from vision. Vision, when you are talking about future. Okay, one more term we have in this, that is mission, in which we are talking about our present, what we are doing, what we are right now. So that is vision. And one more term we have in this, that is clientele. Which type of customers you want to focus? You want teenagers, you want elderly people. So that is what given under clientele. Then we have SPAC, in which we are talking about why companies they are incorporating because they want to raise the capital from the market, and they have the two scenarios through which they can raise the capital. Either they can go for IPO or either they are going for the mergers or acquisition, but they're not doing any operating activities. Okay, so they can ask from this SPAC also, and even they can ask about the D SPAC also. And remember, we have three stakeholders in this. One is your sponsor who starts this company, Spark. Then we have investors who are giving them funds. Then third, we have target company. Remember, these three only we have under this Spark. then
I think if we talk about MBO, everyone, I would like to add here. When we talk about the specific area of MBO is given by Peter Drucker. Okay, they can also ask about all these
Aarti.
things as well, since nobody has specified what kind of question was asked. When we talk about the leverage, don't just do everybody who's going for second or third shift. Please do not rely only on this part. Ki combined leverage is asked. It can be there. They can always put a specific case study where they can ask for all of these three together. The formula for operating leverage is basically your contribution divided by your EBIT. ठीक है और your DFL is EBIT upon EBT. So then you multiply them and that is how you get your combined leverage. In terms of RADR, the formula is already given to you here. Systematic risk, I've told you already. Systematic risk is the risk which is for everybody. In terms of beta leverage, the levered beta that you use in CAPM is based upon systematic risk. ठीक है payback period is basically a traditional method which has been asked in the examination. Peg ratio is something we have discussed already, and please go through the chalisa for the same. You'll find it there itself. Can we go to the next page?
Yes, and remember they are asking from the different programs and initiations which are started by the government. Okay, so under
For startup.
yes, in the startup, as I already provided you the full list in which you can go through and you can revise what are their names and what are their features. So please revise this startup programs and different initiations which government actually started. And yes, ma'am, this is your next page, ma'am. Third page.
There were a lot of questions regarding venture capital as well, ma'am.
Based on what, ma'am?
Venture capital.
Okay. So they asked from this venture capital.
Basically, if they have asked about angel funds, so matlab they are actually going to put questions from both the areas altogether. What's the difference between venture capitalist and an angel investor?
Okay, and they can ask also venture capital or private equity. So remember, venture capital you start when you are funding in startups. But if any established business they want to invest, that is what private equity we have the feature.
Private equities can also be defined as PIPE, pipe. That is private investment in a public equity. This is how they look forward to it. Okay. They also specified as pipe. Acha, they have asked a question regarding incubator as well.
So when we talk about the startup, no, so during the initial years, we want so many kind of skills, management, office areas. So these type of incubators, they give the support to the startup. So basically, when we compare with a infant baby, so in initial days, if they want some life support, so we provide them with some machines or with some life support we provide to them. The same we do with these startups. In the initial year, they're not having much fund. So what we are taking the help from this incubators. So they are providing the office space, they are providing the skills, managerial knowledge. So that is what incubators are.
Everyone in the examination, as per the information that we have got, hardly 5 to 6 numericals were asked. If I can look at the specific scenario, it has gone as per the basic way of working. That is A and B coming a little more, then C is coming lesser from the point of view what I can see, and D is also less as compared to A and B. Okay, D is also definitely there, but last is C. They have gone for the same particular trend there. A, B, then D, and then last is C. This is the sequence in which the weightage of the examination is there. So I hope we are good to go, ma'am. I think we are done with all the specific areas, and everybody, it's hardly, it's 10:54. Everybody would be rushing for the second shift right now. So all the very best for that particular part.
All the very best.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you so much for being there, everyone. Please be there at 4 p.m. again so that we can celebrate the completion of our ABFM week. And along with that, anybody who was in the first attempt or was not able to do the examination, don't feel disheartened. This point is definitely something where CIB is telling you that you really have to work harder because their way of working in the examination is now turning difficult. So please be open minded and do not ever feel that in a professional examination you fail. You do not. Basically, till the time you do not clear the examination, you're not even failing. because either you clear the examination or you don't. There's no point where you can say there is a failure.
So it's
So
like a
when
learning by doing.
agreed.
We have a
So
training program na, that is on the training. So it's a process like learning by doing. So yes, ma'am, please continue. Sorry
So
for the
I think no, it's absolutely right. So when you're preparing for this examination and never feel disheartened or feel bad about the point, there is only one point that you lose, which is definitely undeniable, and that is time. You lose time, and at the same time, you lose an opportunity of getting an increment earlier. Because if you get an increment earlier, think about the time value of money that we tell you. Na, your increments further and further, whatever your salary is becoming, it becomes more and more. So if you're putting the efforts in the very beginning of your career, then it is definitely going to help you only. So please make sure that when you're preparing for this examination, you give your best. Nothing else matters. So everybody relax, go ahead with your examination. Second and third shift, please be there in the last shift with us so that we can discuss that part. Until then, please keep us updated. And everyone, after the completion of the session in the comment section, if possible, please go ahead and write and share your marks as well. We'll be waiting for all of you. Done, ma'am?
Yes, done, done.
Chaliye. Thank you
Thank you,
so much,
everyone. Yeah,
everyone. Bye
bye bye.
bye.
All the very best.
All the best.